Welcome back to Slop Kings. And today, he has risen. We're talking about Charlie Kirk and the rise of a slop martyr. Of course, David, and joined by my good friend Gabe. How you doing, Gabe?
I am Gabriel Sinclair, and I am the Slop God Whisperer. I'm in tune with the Slop Gods.
Mm-hmm.
Charlie Kirk right now is teaching me the ways to bait libtards and own them mentally. To such a degree, he's like the Chud Obi-Wan Kenobi. He is now living more rent-free in leftist heads than ever before.
Should we start the episode with the Slop King's prayer? Our Howard, who art in heaven, hallowed be Kirk's name. Because yes, maybe a slightly less tasteful. Well, hey, at least we didn't do it right after. We're talking about how the recent tragic assassination of Charlie Kirk happened, and viewing it through the mass media lens. You know, what makes people important? What makes things like this last in the modern digital ecosystem? I guess I would take an objective look at it and just see why it was so powerful. Because I'm sure you've seen this too, Gabe. There's people talking about having like religious experiences, getting closer to God. Like famously, Mr. Medicare, friend of the show, spoke about how he found Christ through Charlie Kirk's passing.
Yeah. It's you're insane when Medicare of all people is finding God at this point because of Kirk. Like he was in tears. I watched the clip. He was actually in tears when he was talking about him, dude.
Absolutely, he was. You know what? It gave me flashbacks to. I had a conversation with friend of the show, your co-host as well, on excellent series, the Spangler series from Book Club from Hell, Jack. Definitely got to show that. The slop aficionados will appreciate, especially the second episode when you guys get into esoteric Elder Scroll isms, I suppose. Yeah, from a Spenglerian lens.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's just an excuse. It's just in reality, it's just the Book Club from Hell. It's actually the Bethesda cast from Hell, actually.
Yeah, but what it made me think of, I was talking to Jack way back about the importance of fiction and why these things matter in a cultural context, or in terms of religion, how people, and historically this has always happened with kings of old, going back to the Sumerians. But then also in terms of doctrinal religion in empires, there was always this element of parasocial relationship with either the literal figurehead or the religious legitimizing figurehead. Jesus Christ in sort of the Christian world, or Muhammad in the Islamic world, right? And I humbly propose to you, Gabe, Charlie Kirk actually is the second coming of Jesus Christ, in that he is actually superior in his ability to directly influence people through the technology of social media, this massive back catalog of posts and very carefully managed media, that he's able to connect with people in an incredibly intense way, but in a Christ-like manner, and because he's able to be sort of replicated in a visual medium in perpetuity. And his death was literally televised.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the edits on 4K on Blue Sky as we speak right now. You get banned for misgenerating, but you have 4K goon footage of the shooting.
And the response to it, obviously, there was a lot of leftist glee on it. And then I think it very quickly has turned into a realization this is pretty galvanizing, not only to the rank and file people, but also to the elite who he was well connected with through his massive empire, his sort of media empire he created. And now he's ascended into this state. At least that's my humble argument, is that he's ascended to the state of God, of godhood within the right-wing party.
Well, in many ways, what people, the right-wing party state now, what people are struggling with, speaking of Elder Scrolls lore, is the question is now, how do you mantle a slop god? Right? Because that's what he was. People will say, I didn't watch Charlie Kirk because we were in the know. People in the know didn't need to watch Kirk. He was the boomer whisperer. He was the normie whisperer. He was the the very skittish conservative girl in a southern, sorority house whisperer. He did not scare the hoes. That's what Charlie Kirk did. He was perfect in not scaring the hoes and not getting the boomers too skittish. You know what I mean? He was perfect at that, and that's what he was. He was a slop god, and I mean that in the best way possible. He
Likewise,
absolutely was.
Yeah.
He was, Because what do you mean by that? He was so mimetically prudent and capable and perceptive that was able to make connections. He has managed to lift people up from the schizo vanguarded ghettos. Jeremy Carl, only Kirk could get away with getting funded for the RNC, getting all his money and all these connections, and being personally in touch with Donald Trump and saying on Twitter, I still remember when Charlie Kirk said he was proud to be white. He was proud to be white, and then MLK was a communist, and he was not a founding father. With Normie Khan, when Normie conservative, that's a bold statement. How dare you not put America's forgotten founding father MLK as one of the great founding fathers of America?
You know what else is interesting from that perspective is the hagiography of Charlie Kirk is being written and rewritten and battled over now. Where I see a lot of more Wignatty people saying, "Oh, he was always super Israel. He still was at the end," and a lot of people saying, "Oh, actually, he was uber based on all these things. He learned and developed." And I genuinely don't know where he was on a lot of things. Like, yeah, like you, I sort of was vaguely aware of him. I heard of him back in the Groyper War stuff was popping off, and that was really it. But he just kept growing, and I am trapped in my own little niche of the internet. But he seems to have really thrived in sort of his slop kingdom of videos of debating college students and just doing the talk show circuit within the right wing world. But it seems like people are revisiting it now and almost interpreting what they need to see from it. But yeah, I generally don't know. Do you know, like, did you follow him closely at all, or have you gone through it in any detail?
I mean, like I said, he wasn't made for you, sweetie. He really wasn't made for us. He was there to get epically red pilled. This is the America I know. Real preachers understand what boomers will react to his videos that he posts on Facebook. Right? He for once instead you would imagine Social Security but based instead of a young man giving money to his to boomers to leech off of. For once, a Zoomer or how old was he? 31? Like a
Yeah.
millennial was leeching off of boomers' money for once.
Yeah.
I think that's what happened with him in particular. And if you notice, what I mean by that is he's much more. Charlie Kirk is no longer a man. Charlie Kirk is an idea. He's become ethereal. He is an atmosphere you try to soak in. He's got little just Kirk dust out there that you can try to huff in and try. It's like he's like the spices from Dune, right? You're trying to huff in the fumes of his magic, right? You see this with that little gay Georgian twink, right? What Brylan? Oh no, where is he from? I forgot. Alabama. Brylan Hollyham, where he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm young. I'm Kirk. I'm just like Kirk," and he is so fake. And you see him in his little polo shirt, his not like a really gaudy watch on a private plane, and he's advocating for, listen. I think illegal immigration is wrong, but America needs is legal migration, and isn't America a melting pot after all? Like these very normie conservative talking points from 12 plus years ago. Like you just get hit with a time warp. The kid is pure containment, nothing more.
Yeah, and there seems to be containment on both sides of the aisle, honestly. Now, it's very interesting watching it be trotted out because it's never been so transparent as it is now because no one legitimately feels that way, and yet they're continually trotted out again and again. And it all kind of brought back for me some memories of our conversation at the beginning. Was it beginning of this year? It feels like ages ago. You, me, and our good friend Penultimo discussing the vibe shift right after Trump won. We actually were on a streak of vibe posting. I was talking. We were doing we had a parapolitics episode. We had something else that was like along those lines, and now everything. Pat on the back. I'm reaching back. Can't see. I'm giving myself a pat on the back for my parapolitics call. By the way, I predicted for anyone that didn't listen to that criminally under listened to episode that parapolitics is going to be the only legitimate form of leftism within a year. Look where we are. That was right when Biden got kidnapped and he just disappeared for a day, and he came back saying, "I no longer wish to be president. I will not be running in this campaign. I'm Kamala pilled. I'm a coconut pilled now."
Listen, he got a flu while visiting a Mexican restaurant. All right, it was just a cold.
But we made some predictions in that about, I guess, the way things were going to go, and I was also really hit to my reputation. I was calling out the Trump coin. Do you remember Trump? Does anyone remember Trump coin?
I missed out on $500,000 off of Trump token. Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, think of all the money I could have lost. He's going to come back into any day now, though. And I guess it's interesting to think of it now. I don't think we're really on the other side of the transition fully now. But I'm curious what you think, Gabe, now that it feels like maybe a quarter of the way through some kind of major transition.
Well, during the vibe shift, everyone's talking about, oh, this is the vibe shift. With the first month, the first month of the Trump regime, you had Doge firing everyone. You felt like a complete everyone was firing all cylinders. Go, 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 go. We got to act as quickly momentum as possible. We have the public mandate. We have a sense of change. You know, the winds of change are blowing in our sails. You have to act as quickly as possible. And slightly the Trump machine, it's like Pac-Man trying to eat out Lizzo. He just kept on chewing and chewing and chewing. It's like Kirby, actually. Kirby can only get like half of a butt cheek before he gets melanin poisoning. At this point, he can't chew anymore. He's getting like digestion issues, and that's what Trump is. Like he's trying so hard to act, but the tariffs off China bounced, and of course with this ice raids thing going on. Will we see if he's sovereign or not? And we have a thing we had a vague hope. We were high on hopium during the first, let's say, month of Trump getting elected. Versus what the realities that we're dealing with now is that we have the Kirk thing. We have the second troon shooting up a church, not the week before, but like 2 weeks before the Kirk thing.
Yeah, not to mention the ice shootings. I don't even know how many there've been, but it's been at least a handful.
I just saw the edit of the Kirk edit of the ice shootings.
The Frasier one.
Oh, it's such a gem.
Yeah, or not? Was it Mine Got Niles? That one? Yeah. Well, maybe I'll put that in the loop video loop.
No, it's good. And the thing is, now that Kirk has become an icon in many ways, you have Ezra Klein on his. We're totally centrist guys. We promise we'll promise you trans will not be in your bathrooms until you have your eyes closed. Then we'll let them sneak up your kids' asses.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people are orienting around Kirk. And like I said this, I mentioned we were talking about Elder Scrolls Lore 4. Kirk has become Chim. He is chimmied out. He's a Chim poster now.
Yeah.
People are trying to mantle him. How do you mantle a slop god? He was extremely effective as a slop god now, and people are trying to harness the gravitational pull of his death, much like the entire civil rights movement was harnessed or energized by MLK's death. How do you harness this opportunity, and you don't let it slip through your fingers?
Well, Aaron McIntyre says always be chimping, but you're saying always be chimming. Always be chimming your Charlie Kirk, which I think is a good parallel to that. And like with the MLK thing, again, you have to have that elite backing, right? And Charlie Kirk did have that for various reasons. Love him or hate him, but that's kind of what makes him such a powerful symbol, and that there's action being taken behind it. My follow up for the vibe shift, and it's hard because I think there's things are still happening. And to your point, there's a little bit of like reality of Trump comes in hot, all these things are declared will happen. How many happen? Only so many. He's kind of like leading a giant bureaucracy. I think the bigger story, the more concrete story, is the post-COVID leftist consensus is broken. People are actually struggling to name it now. Wokeism, libtardism, like this particular kind of quasi-religious set of beliefs, which was really founded on these ideas of ultimate sexual liberation in the forms of like transsexuality, ultra homosexuality acceptance, sort of this uber fetishization of the minority of whatever type, and this sort of kumbaya world vision. Like it really reached like a fevered pitch it was almost like this like blowout orgy in 2020 to 2022 or so. And it feels like this is like after the honeymoon of it, and after the wrap up of the Biden, something real has happened over there, and it seems like on their side of the fence, things are sort of breaking down, and there's this gap between the corrupt elite of leftism that's still somewhat in power of the U.S. government in many ways, but is rapidly losing out to this very poorly coordinated forming one on this quote unquote the right. Sort of like a little bit of our Lord and Savior, Satan himself, Peter Thiel and his friends heavily involved. But there's something there where like they're just kind of inheriting the ball as this leftist order is shockingly fast, how fast it's crumbling.
Well, the reason why it's coming, you see this they're in a state of shock, and like again, this is the whole slop god thing. How do Charlie Kirk has ascended to an energy well. He is a gravitational force. You see the Ezra Klein interview with that what trashy not what Ta Tanishi hosts or whatever the fuck his name is,
Yeah,
Hall and
Ta-Nehisi
Oates,
Coates.
Ta-Nehisi Coates, right? Black Hall and Notes, but he's a light skinned midwit. He doesn't have the aura of Drake, at least. He has nothing.
Mhm.
He doesn't have that light skin energy. He's the worst of both worlds.
He's Wigger Blade. He's got no the Daywalker.
The Midwalker.
Yeah.
But the Midwit Walker, right? But with Kirk, and you see with Ezra Klein, like the abundance liberals. Let's try abundance. Let's try to be normal. Let's try to reach across the aisle. What the shit Ezra Klein said. I'm still haunted by that one tweet during the Me Too era, where Ezra Klein was like, "Yeah, every young man should have an icy dagger of fear every time they speak to a woman on a college campus," and he meant it too, right? Just total like cursing and vexation. Like the idea of any sexual relationship between men and women has been vexed and cursed permanently. It was all for that, basically. And like just a complete vindictive hatred for normal young men, basically. I still remember that tweet was burnt into my skull when Ezra Klein's tweeted that out. And you're seeing this desperately. Let's just lie to the normies. Let's just lie to the normies again. In
Mhm.
case of emergency, they got a little Bill Clinton voodoo doll. In case of emergency, bring out the white boy of aura. They're
Mhm.
desperate to break their hammer, but their hammer is being controlled by a raving lunatic black toddler.
Well, yeah, well, they've raised a generation, and now it's like my generation, frankly, is a lot of these like millennial former Gawker writer tier people. What do they want? They don't want to hear. They can't be bought off with Bill Clintonisms. They're not interested in hearing it, and that's really like the most of their base at this point. All the immigrants they brought over, all those people, they're either pissed off about the whole Israel issue, which I generally agree with their critiques of Israel, but it's kind of a whole separate issue. And they can't moderate because they have this religious fervor among basically everyone that's not just a bureaucratic maintainer of the social order.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. You got the people with instincts. You got the vanguard, the intellectual vanguard, right? They're trying desperately to play realpolitik and get their radicals in control. Like same way Tony Blair, famously, academic agent always has this saying: a man in power can always say no to the radicals and still pull their leashes for loyalty. And Tony
Mhm.
Blair famously did this back in the day. And but the modern Democratic Party, they can't say no to the radicals. They can't tug on their leashes. They're completely out of control. And that's the issue with them. And how do you properly mantle a slop god like Kirk? Is like the
Mhm.
right is completely letting his energy just vaporize into the ether. Elon Musk said he would donate $1 million for have a per mural, a Charlie Kirk mural in every city. Did that happen? Elon Musk promised it would happen. Is there any murals coming up of Charlie Kirk? No. Was
Mhm.
there people were promising of the Ukrainian woman that died? No. They're completely letting the energy evaporate into the ether.
They are still doing. They are mantling in some ways, though. So there's like the basic Hyperborean edits and those tier of memes coming out of DHS, like ICE, and federal accounts. Grants on Twitter, so they're kind of playing to you within your bubble. It is interesting to see within this concept of the mantling of a slop god that they're aware enough to in a very unique way like exploit the mimetic language in there. But yeah, I mean it's just the usual thing with Republicans, though. They're incapable of really manifesting a lot of the change in a meaningful way or just like seizing it. I mean, there was that rally though. That was pretty keynote, like that big funeral thing.
Yeah, we are Storm.
I didn't watch it. I say it was keynote. I saw a few pictures and I was like, oh cool.
Oh, have you seen it? No, have you? Me neither. I saw the Giga Chad memes.
Yeah, I
Listen,
saw the Fraser Payne memes. Yeah,
yeah, you could dictate the event as keynote based on your mutuals posting as soy jacks or Giga Chads about a particular person at the time. And I saw like in Stephen Miller, great speech. You know, he is genuinely the Hebrew Hammer. Like he is definitely he he is. Maybe there's no such thing as a chosen people, but he's definitely a chosen person. He is definitely a chosen one. Um, and he is the divine hammer of the sovereign.
yeah,
And to be clear, I totally denounce your anti-Israel comments. By the way, I'm still the proud Lion of Judea.
based.
The the lion denounces the Chihuahua
The-
when it criticizes Israel.
all right, let me put a challenge to you then. All right, you're crowned high priest of Kirkism within the Trump administration. Like, what will you do? What should they do to mantle the slop god?
How do you mantle the slump god? Well, of course, you have to play the Shivering Isles, right? And again, Todd's law leads the way, obviously,
Mhm.
and, and you can't, because you have the most cynical version of this is the Brile Holly hand. Like
Yeah,
it's most cynical. It's basically a rape. Let's be honest. He's trying to rape the spirit of Kirk. He's like, I'm a young conservative. Look at me. I'm going to college campuses, and but the thing is, he is completely out of touch. With Brian Hollyhand, the first thing you see is a dude with a bougie watch, with a polo jacket and his private jet plane, going to conservative to preach at college students about the importance of legal immigration.
hmm
Completely a foreign cast. He is a light skinned Vivek. What he is doing is
hmm
just light skinned Vivekism, basically, for all intents and purposes. He is a foreign Brahmin, trying to like her the foreign cattle, underneath the juggernaut of his ambitions, and
yeah.
try to use Kirk as an energy source, basically, for a little fireworks show to distract him. And the thing, how do you the way you dismantle a Slop god is that you have to embody his energies. Yeah, again, much like in the Silvering Isles, you must walk and act as the god does.
Well, because here's a thought I have. In the Joseph Campbell hero's journey sense, the full circle heals, and he based that on like the different historical like myths and religions, including like Jesus Christ himself, which we're kind of doing a parallel with Charlie Kirk to Christ. At least I am blasphemously. And the Bible, after Jesus comes back, or no, sorry, after Jesus dies, Jesus' little brother doesn't come in. This isn't fucking uh, yeah, Brady Bunch. This is the Brady
Uh,
Bunch where some little lesser version comes in and says, "Hey, I'm Jesus too. Let me keep telling you guys the same things you heard, just a little shittier." That's not the hero's journey. That's not what we want to hear. We want to see Charlie come back, which I understand you can't do because maybe you could do a Mecha Floyd, Mecha Charlie. People want to have either a enshrinement, like a reification, a repetition of the values in like a big bold way, and they want to have rights based on him. That's what people want. And obviously, I understand this is not a literal religion, so people won't actually be praying to him, but people want to say his name. That's what you need to give them. You need to give them a reason to keep saying his name. You need to give them a reason to keep having his icon, his image on the wall. And so that's the deification, the mantling, the Charlie Kirk. If you make me the high priest within the Trump admin, I'd be finding ways to squeeze that in like some kind of public procedures, like NFL games. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, you libtards used to kneel. We're gonna put up a billboard of Charlie Kirk at the end zone. You're gonna kneel
at the
before it.
Super Bowl, instead of end racism, end troons.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Just has like a bridge thing under it, says "lovely view" or whatever.
No, no, it's they them. It's they them. It's crossed out. You get like a
Mhm.
red, like a spray paint. You paint he them. They them. You get red paint, splash it out, and you do he him instead of they
There you
them
go.
at the end zones.
Yeah, no, I mean that to me that's the return the journey. That's the return of the hero from the underworld. That's the like the maintaining of it. Otherwise they do risk because they have such a powerful we're still in that moment to some extent. It's like already, weakening, which inevitably it will. Like, you can't live in a manic episode forever, which it was for like 2 weeks or so. It was absolutely hysteria about it. But yeah, I know.
What
I think that if they were something they should do if they were more mature libtards. Like, think about George Floyd. How long did the George Floyd thing go?
it went on for damn near a quarter of a year. It felt like
Yeah. It was the summer of Floyd,
it was the
and
summer of
they
Floyd.
made murals. They actually did make. There were a lot more shitty murals. They did, and they made that stupid golden statue of him sitting on a bench where he probably would have loved to rob a pregnant woman. Uh, in life.
Pregnant women could be here. He thought to him. I can. And the thing is, the left got a summer of Floyd, and we got a weekend at Kirk's for all intents and purposes.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah. They didn't capitalize it and keep the momentum, which they easily could have. People were, George Floyd's version didn't have that many people like rushing to a stadium quite as quickly and with as little prep as that one, right? So, and they had like all the media blitz, they had all that. Anyway, all to say, I think, yeah, that would be the true next level. And George Floyd, this is an interesting like contrast to dwell on. Like, where's the George Floyd myth gone now? I think it's actually going out because he was a false, for one, he wasn't a slop king, so he couldn't become a slop god, right? Because George Floyd, he probably had a couple of videos of himself like having sex with a meth whore or something, but otherwise he didn't
Yeah,
have a media presence.
yeah. You can't mantle something that's you can't mantle an idol or a totem. The totem was been created by the hands and
Mm,
by the collective, but it was made by the council. Well,
a crude pagan idol.
you
Yeah.
know, listen, your seer intellectual. Oh, I'm not that. Listen, I'm not that much of a Christian, but let me tell you how paganism is wrong. I still remember your anti-pagan, your cold anti-pagan post.
I can love both sides. I can love and hate both sides.
Well, I guess there was something. Kirk had a charisma. He know how to communicate his ideas, and you're seeing this with. It was a Pandora's box event because people are just fed posting non fucking stop. I mean, you have
Mm.
the guy for you have they literally cannot go 5 minutes with saying, listen, he was a hate monger. You had that horrible Roman podcasting dude who was on Theo Vaughn, who is also a co-poster. You have people who are cowards who are like, listen, just don't hurt me, bro. Theo Vaughn basically is like, oh, please, I didn't vote for this, I didn't vote for this, please don't hurt me. You
Mhm.
got them who are just cowards and who are trying to save their own skins. You got the unrepentant leftists like Mike Duncan or the Somali bitch who are just going full, yeah, you know what, fuck him. Like, yeah, he was hateful. He does not deserve
Yeah.
to be remembered.
Too bad his kids didn't get killed. Like, some of them legitimately are saying that. And it's like, holy shit.
Yeah,
They're among us.
I mean, the guy running for Virginia senator right now, I believe, Jay
Yeah.
Jones or something like that, right? I mean, he's saying, yeah, I think he deserves. Not only does my opponent deserves 2 bullets to the head, I think his children deserve 2 bullets because they're breeding little fascists, right? And he's still in the race, still in the race. Barely, he no, not a single Democrat have retracted their endorsement, and that's why they win.
I actually don't know it's how it's going to do, though, because there's something really ugly about an impotent anger. Like, that's very unappealing, especially to female voters or just females in general. So they don't, because some of this is like politically libtards are flailing because they've lost a lot of political capital. Obviously, they still retain a shitload, but there's sort of these cracks in their ideology. There's the chickens coming home to roost in terms of not having families, not doing all these other healthy things, the poisoning your body with hormones for transitioning, things like that. Um, yeah, some of that incoherence I think is coming home to roost, and that is like one why they're lashing out. Like, it's not something a confident group does.
Well, you got two issues. You got the current impotent state of the left. The impotence, they can't get it up. While the right, they get it up too quickly. The right suffer some premature ejaculation.
Mhm.
Right. Once
I mean, there's
once.
other thing is premature. I mean, it's supposed to come out, Gabe, right? Like,
Well,
that's the
yeah.
whole point. So I don't think anyone should be shamed for it's not a big deal if you come soon, right?
Well, it needs to come. It needs to come with a presence. You can't. Port Portland needs to. We need. Please, Ulysses S. Grant. Ulysses S. Grant. I will deport myself. I will personally kiss the tomb of Lincoln if your ghost burns down the city of Portland. And that's the thing. The right to overall be completely satisfied. Oh, here's in what New College, Florida, the one that Christopher Rufo runs in Florida. Oh, we're going to get like a little shitty, very shitty, half-ass made statue in Kirk's honor. Okay, there we go. We honored his memory. Now we're going to go off and we're going to go back to DraftKings and
Mhm.
watching the Bad Bunny performance and complaining about it on the Super Bowl. Even though Charlie Kirk had good instincts, he's like, no. When the girl got killed in the bus stop, the Ukrainian woman, Arina, Iryna, I
Yeah,
think.
Ariana or something like that.
Ariana, yeah, he's like, no, we gotta use her death. We should politicize her death. And he had great political instincts. What would Kirk do? He would be pushing so hard. He would be trying to amplify the temperature as much as he possibly can. And,
Mhm.
and, and to his credit, Stephen Miller at least is still trying to amplify that energy with Kirk, at least to a certain degree, at least rhetorically, if not in action. And the problem is that the right is too easily satisfied with token gestures. With the left can only get off of you if they apply a if they get a heroin, like a syringe full of underage, like aborted fetuses,
Oh
and a
my
cheese
god.
grater, and a cheese grater
Uh,
directly to their testicles. Right, that's the only way they can get off. One can't get off without very,
okay.
like they need their troon juice. They can't get it up without their troon juice.
Yeah, they're adrenochrome injections.
Yeah, and that's what
Yeah.
they said that when I see Gavin Newsom like trying somewhat to moderate on the troon question, like, oh, this is genocide. This is genocide. If the state, our entire identity and existence as beings is predicated on a fiat of the state. If the state doesn't acknowledge us, we will literally it's also a version of mantling. If we are not worshipped as entities, if we're not perceived as entities, we will no longer exist.
Hmm.
We are Gigalath. If we are no longer perceived, we will no longer exist from the ether, right? And you see that with the left. We in a sequel to this, we discuss this much further with certain post left. We are just trying to make things work. Abundance. We just want things to work. We just want things to be
Yeah.
hecking
We already
normal
got the
again.
next Slop King identified and targeted. We're doing our research right now.
Yeah, and you see this with the right, and with the right, we either can't we either come too quick, or we have our nagging dad telling us to pull us up by the bootstraps and just be normal. It's slamming on the table. We're trying to jerk off to our
Mhm.
food porn. You know, and
Yeah. Yeah. They just need the delivery. Like, I don't know if it's coming too quick. It's more just like, just no, there's no staying power. Now you gotta keep that thrust going. And when you come, you gotta let her know, right? Like, you gotta really groan it out. It's
we
a
need
value of mine,
sustainable tugging.
which you need leadership for, right? I mean, this is like some people talk about democratic politics in general. Like, they just sort of, comes in fits and spurts. And so if you don't have that leadership that's actually going to keep it maintained and schedule and fund protests or whatever, I mean, people have fucking jobs. People have fucking places to be. They can't just do this for you. They need the money and organizations to actually do the thinking for them. Logistics.
Right. And you see this idea of that's why Yarvin has this great idea of the Trump app. You just sign in the app, send in your credentials, and Stephen Miller will really tell you what to do. Put on the
Mhm.
MAGA hat golem, go to this exact poll, put in the check mark. That's all you need to do.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, people are doing the firing campaigns too, which is another, I guess, important element of this as a vibe shift and as the Kirk's power as a symbol, which you just couldn't. That was always a lefty thing. Lefty to that to rightoids, and the tables turned, at least for a short period. Right now, yeah, it's probably lost some of its potency, but people got wise. But an important step. Oh, and we skipped the whole Jimmy Kimmel thing. That was kind of a nothing burger,
that ended up being a nothing burger. Yeah, woke is
kind
not.
of them flaunting how little they give a shit too, right? It's just
Yeah,
the usual. They did the same thing. Who's that? Who's the guy that does the stupid Marvel movies?
Kevin
James
Feige.
Gunn.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember he had which was honestly, it was a stupid reason to fire him. He made a kids die or get raped joke like 10 years ago, so they got a cancel campaign. But whatever, they got him. But it's just the same same shuck and jive they libtards always do, where they'll like, oh, he's going on, leave, and then literally 3 days later, as soon as people stop immediately bothering them, they're like, all right, he's back.
Yeah, and that's the thing. The right. This is proved. We were trying so hard. Like, listen, we have the mandate. Kirk is done. We tried. You try the mantle. We have not successfully mantled Kirk. We have not learned to properly mantle Vivek at this point in Morrowind. We have not learned to
Hmm.
properly achieve Jim yet. Or Kim. You see this with the Kimmel situation is that Kimmel's right back on. The left no longer discusses. They no longer try to finger wag at us anymore. They know how to insulate and defend themselves for the most part. Now they're trying to herd their own animals. They're trying to herd their core. As a client to try. They're trying to hurdle their diverse compatriots. They're trying
Hmm.
to, I'm sorry, you're not going to get your, you're not going to get your stimmy check until you vote for the Bill Clinton clone. You will vote for the respectable, normie seeming Bill Clinton clone. Just be normal, so we can get our dark woke abundance, so we can ban cars and fill up as many public transits with homeless schizo black people as humanly possible.
So maybe we're in the different timeline where Charlie Kirk is the Nerevarine, and then we have his wife is Vivek, Mrs. Kirk is, or sorry, no, his wife is Alexia, Vivek is Vivek, and or Brillin is Vivek. So the Sills, I don't know who, and we're waiting on our Nerevarine, or no, yeah, waiting on the reincarnation, waiting on the next one. Maybe Kirk won't be deified in the way I was maybe a little bombastically claiming he would. I feel like I have a little bit of cold water doused on my vision, to be honest. Of
What Kirk did, what he did do is completely shattered Overton window. You can
mm,
Fed post as a right winger on Twitter and get away with it. With the left wing, they can go masked off and Fed post. You see with the guy trying to run for Virginia at this point. I
yeah.
mean, you see this with Tucker Carlson holding up a Nick Land pneumogram and talking about satanic lemurs trying to summon capital from the future. You know what I mean? Overton
But
window is
but will
completely shattered.
Kirk be enshrined though? Or was Kirk just merely a step in it? That's my thing. Like, what has he truly ascended? He was a slop king in life, but has he ascended in death, or was he just sort of a martyr? Maybe I should more humbly say maybe he's a slop martyr, if that's the case.
He absolutely is a slop. And he would take it as a compliment based on our definitions of slop. He's like,
Hmm.
yes, absolutely. I wanted to be as mimetic, a virile as a mimetic idea and concept as possible. That's what we always try to do, as virile as possible. And I think he is definitely a slop god. I think is we've lost someone because he was able to organize notoriously us, chuds are notoriously, we're not very good at, organizing and being pro-social enough to, be with people for more than 5 minutes.
Hmm.
And he was able to do that. He managed to tard wrangle a large section of people to run a successful organization. And with his death, you see the turning point. God bless his wife. Hopefully, she can channel that boss bitch energy that she has to be a right wing
Hmm.
girl boss. At the end of the day, with Kirk's death, there's no more pretense anymore in dialogue anymore. The left is trying, Ezra Klein's desperately trying to do it. They're trying to wrangle in the riggers, I guess you could say, retarded gentlemen. And with the right, you see these boomer cons trying to send in their nepo baby children. They're extremely twink children. You say, listen, guys, I believe in immigration enforcement, but can't we just let Pedro work for my dad for a quarter of the dollar?
Yeah. Hey guys, the Pharisees are great. I think we should just not, I love this Jesus stuff, but we should stop asking so many questions.
Yeah, and that was another Kirk thing, and he actually was getting sick of Israel by the end of it. There was
Mm.
actually our Black Queen, Candace, our Melodin mommy, Candace Owens, was actually common Candace W on that one. And I think overall, you're just seeing like I said, there's no such thing as being too much online. You can be more. You could always be more online. You're not online enough. And you're seeing this with the whole Nick Land thing popping off right now. Every normie con and his mama, every normie, Christ cuck, every Christ normie is trying desperately. Listen, the men and women are different, but you can't generalize and say all women. That's critical theory, or that kind of thing. They're trying desperately to keep a handle on things
Hmm.
because America's too. It's too. At the end of the day, is something ever happening? We're not going to have a civil war. We're not going to have any sincere violence. We much rather goon to the idea of it, impotently gooning at it. The left will see ICE deport 5 people, like, we finally got something happening, and then fuck off. The left, they literally can't get it up to begin with because it requires too much stimulation at this point. So we're not gonna get our base. Is we getting a civil war too? No, we're not. Right, we're not getting that, but we're going. You get the spectacle of it as we slowly decay away and into the ether. And I think with Kirk, if Kirk is not harnessed, if we don't mantle Kirk, if we don't mantle this idea, the universe was changed at this very moment. That's why Mystery Girl always posts the "Never forget you witnessed a miracle," and it's Trump with his ear bleeding. Right, 1 inch away, he would have been dead.
Hmm.
Right, you witnessed a miracle. When you say you witness a miracle, what you're trying to say is, when you say I witnessed a miracle, what you're saying is I have the implicit right to rule from divinity. Right, we have it on monopoly. When you say you witnessed a miracle, you see something actually changing by the will of the universe itself, by the will of the Lord himself. Right, that's what you're saying when you say you witnessed a miracle. Right, I mean, there's a claim. It is a claim of a right of existence. Right, you're imposing your will by saying I witnessed a miracle. This was in fact a miracle. You witnessed it too. You're
Hmm.
bending really the rules of logic and reality to the divine and claiming sovereignty over the definition of the divine, if that makes sense. And with Kirk, again, you have to also do with to properly mantle Kirk. You have to come in and say, what I'm here for is for America, is to impose my will, impose my politics, and every single keep on pushing, never ever stop, never come, only edge.
Hmm.
Well, Kirk was a professional edger, never be satisfied.
Edge for
You
America. Yeah.
turning TEUSA. That's the proper political tactic. Is don't be satisfied with a very shitty bronze statue in the Rufo University in Florida. Don't be satisfied with maybe one half-assed mural of Kirk in Serbia of a Jersey's Laker on. Don't be satisfied with these things. We'll be satisfied when the libs are owned, when Chicago is a burning piece of rubble and it's rebuilt in Trump's image, and Portland gets nuked.
And I guess that's what we can do at our, low level in this meme war, in this info war, this world. We could just sort of maintain the memory of this guy that literally did, died doing for what he believed in. At least apply some pressure there to maintain the memory, force libtards to live with it. But it might hearing your prediction, because this is kind of a soft sequel in some ways to our vibe shift episode. And I like, for these things, I like to put out a nice hard, firm prediction of what's to come so we can be embarrassed or pat ourselves on the back later. Are you saying nothing ever happens? That sounds like what your conclusion was on the Civil War or whatever.
Well, we're not getting a civil war. What we're going to get is a very slow road to Brazilification. If we're not actually, we're kind of already, we're basically a Latin America country at this point. I mean, we're getting a halftime show entirely in Spanish, for God's sake, right? But what I think will happen is, I mean, people are realizing with Kirk, if you want the normie grift, like Barry Weiss, right? I mean, she sold out to her independent journal, her
Yeah.
anti woke, fact based, aka just jerking up Israel 24/7. Israel reply guys. She sold her news station that barely has like 10+ views on average on her YouTube channel to like what Paramount Plus or Paramount or something like that. Like
Something. I think she's at ABC, right? Or CBS.
yeah, the normal reasonable grift has never been more sweeter. Right, and Barry Weiss. There's something in both Barry Weiss and Ezra Klein share, but they have the instinct to know where a dollar is blowing in the wind.
Hmm.
Right, and so the moderate. Barry Weiss sold out, so to a big corporation. Get the nori bucks. Get back to my old position of being a respectable journalist. Right, so the normie grift is there. Money is to be made. The reason why they're sending in twink Alabama twinks. Alabama twink on my knee. It's something straight out of the Minster Review, actually. Mr. Hollyhan would I would love to see Hollyhan do a show with Mr. Bones from the Minster Review.
Oh my
Um,
god, that'd be so good. Bring
uh,
back
uh,
Meestrobe. But
what do you
what's your
mean?
firm
Well,
prediction? Because
what's my
I
firm
think you're
prediction?
waffling.
Am I?
What's gonna happen?
I don't waffle. All right, I flounder. I don't
I'm
waffle.
weaving,
Okay,
sir.
I'm weaving. I'm weaving. What's my firm prediction? It really depends. No one has claimed the mantle. No one has used. Okay, our Kirk. The death of Kirk can bring two forces: the sword of the politics and the mimetic into one. If someone could properly mantle Kirk, you could bring the online esoteric schizoism, which he did. He had Kurt Jarvin, he had Jeremy Carl on, he had
Mhm.
Steve Saylor on. If I recall correctly, he did have Steve Saylor, if I remember correctly. You know, a person from the online world who can mantle the normie eye of Kirk for all his chuddiness, can be out and proud. Yeah, I'm a chud. I don't give a fuck, and still maintain all his eyes. That magnetism. You got the esoteric vanguardism that's being forcibly projected onto the masses, right? And the masses cannot look away and will not turn off their ears from you. That is the best of both worlds. Like extremely esoteric chud can mantle Kirk, and the magnetism. You have the slop magnetism, but the fine taste palette of a very esoteric chud, right? Force feed caviar to the masses. Everyone must drink La Croix water. Yes, it tastes
You're
like
saying
dirty
you need a
soap.
chosen one though to accomplish this?
Yes, you need the hero kavach.
Mhm.
You need to close all 500 of the Oblivion gates, and no one has ran through the mantle. Maybe people keep on saying Fuentes, but Fuentes is his own thing. Fuentes, he has dug himself into a very particular niche, and he can't get out of that niche.
You know
Right?
who
Yeah.
you need? You need a hero born on a certain day to uncertain parents. I'm talking about a young black conservative, Gabe.
Who?
I'm just joking about black people like not having their parents in their life.
Oh,
It's kind of
I
mean.
was about to say, who's a black conservative?
No, um, no, I think that's fair. My prediction. Who the fuck knows what's going to happen? I think things are going to keep escalating in terms of libtards are activated. They're going to keep being have these like this violent wing. I think there's going to be this widening gulf. I actually don't think the Democratic Party is going to get its shit together in time for the next Republican election, a presidential election. I think it's going to 2028. I think it's going to be a bigger rift between the managerial leftist wing, which is mostly skews older. No, not always. We know our protest, no kings protesters are out there. They're senior citizens, and then you're going to have your millennial and Zoomer, like very like ultra online divided, like I'm an anarchist, I'm a this, but it's going to matter more to them. I don't think they're going to fall in line and shut up. I think they're like more I yeah, I think, and I think we're going to see a more slowly more and more sophisticated, whatever you want to call the Republican esque like faction that is forming and getting more and more corporatized and more professionalized. I think that's going to keep happening. I think they're going to start actually like cracking down with the actual intelligence operations on uh, some of these libtards and their donors in particular. Like, I do think the donor class is actually going to start. I don't think it's going to take a lot of people to get hit before they really start changing behavior. And I think it's going to, if it's not already happening, it will be soon. That's my firm
you,
prediction.
you got the intellectual Fabians like Ezra Klein or like that Joshua, the Doom Scroll guy, just by trying to create a boat, trying to get all these retarded monkeys, trying to get them on the boat, trying to get them to make a boat before the island sinks into the earth,
Mm-hmm.
basically. They're desperately trying to build a raft in time for all intents and purposes. You see these policy wonks desperately trying to, we need a Bill Clinton too. We need to rebuild and we don't know how. Right?
We
Because
lost the
like
technology.
because you still have like Elon Musk is like, I'm not a right wing. I'm just a Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton was basically MAGA.
The
Like,
left left me.
yes, you still have the Kirk gets shot in the fucking neck, and we still have the left me people.
Yeah,
And
frustrating.
that's the thing, and that's the thing that Kirk needs to be used as a weapon. No, we will not talk in euphemisms anymore. No, we're not going to do both sides anymore. You killed the debate died. The debate died. We must mantle. The dialogue is whatever we say. The
Yeah.
dialogue we speak and you listen. That is what happens anymore.
And to keep the Morrowind analogy going, what do you do? What do the ordinators do? They wear the face of the fallen god. right? That's like their armor in the game. I'm just saying, but we do that with memes and
Yeah,
words.
that's
To
what
what
Fraser
you're
Payne
saying.
did. That's what Fraser Payne did with that excellent gem video he posted.
All right. Anything else, or you think we're good to wrap?
All I say is, in part 2 of this, we will attempt, the right must learn to mantle a slop god, while the left is trying to attempt to make a slop golem, an indestructible slop golem.
That's a good note to leave it on. We'll close there. I guess the conclusion is Charlie Kirk, right now a slop martyr, but possibly he may ascend. Let's play our parts wisely. We'll see you next time. If you've listened, please vote, subscribe, whatever, give stars on applications, and check out, if you like this, we got other Slop Kings episodes. We got Todd Howard content out the wazoo if you just scroll down a little bit. So yeah, thank you everybody that listened.
Good night and good tugging.
Bye bye.